Hey there, in today's video I'm going to compare the Asics Metaspeed Edge, the original, with the Asics Metaspeed Edge Paris, the current, and test both on my local running track and then go through the data and see what I can find out about the difference between these two shoes. I'm making this video because I have the two shoes and they're quite different. I've done a variety of tests, but in this particular one I'm just comparing one against the other using my Stryd Footpods, and I also wanted to see how the data changes as I run around the track. So I have to do various loops of the track, various sort of sessions, 5-minute blocks I think they are, at various paces. So I'm going to do those, and then I'm going to see the difference as I come back. I'm going to try and figure out certainly left-right balance in the shoes, and if that changes, because I'll be going around the bends and various other bits and pieces, and I expect that the symmetry when you're running in a straight line that I'm always aiming for won't be exactly happening. So I'm going to try both of those and see what I can find out. I find the Edge to be a very, very different shoe to the Edge Paris, and we'll see what the data shows. So we're here at Irish Town Stadium now. Going to park the car, go in, run around, and then go back to the house and analyze the data. Now, as always, this video might be long, so there are chapter markers down below, so you can skip on through to the bits you might be interested in. Let's get going. Not gonna lie, that was tough. Just back off the track, literally, and I'm gonna drive home and analyze the data. And so the first thing is, I went out first in the Metaspeed Edge. That wasn't the plan, but that's what happened. And ran in whatever the regular direction is, clockwise, anti-clockwise, and then clockwise. 2 different directions for the 5-minute stints in that. Then 5 minutes in the Metaspeed Edge Paris. Then a lap in each direction with the Edge on my left foot and the Edge Paris on my right foot. And then because I was using the bends, I could really feel different propulsion in the bends. It turned out to be a really good idea. And I can analyze the data on the Stryd Footpod. So I'm steaming up. I'm expecting an important phone call. So we'll do that and see you back in the house to analyze the data. So I'm back from my Stryd training with these two, the Edge and the Edge Paris. I was doing supra threshold runs, part of Stryd's training plans by Steve Palladino. And it was 5 minutes at 305 to 323 watts after warm up. Then 2 minutes 45 recovery in between. It's one I really like doing, and essentially I set off at the wattage on the Stryd, and then I kind of kept at the same pace using the Garmin. I wasn't trying to use the power, specifically the power numbers. I was just trying to establish a pace and then run the same pace consistently in all the runs I did in the shoes. I ran in the Edge first, 5 minutes in one direction, 2:45 break, then 5 minutes in the other direction. I don't like to lap in the same direction all the time. You can get repetitive strain from running in the same direction on a looped course. So I don't really like that, even though there wasn't a huge amount of time out. It is about an hour. Even so, and that was quite good. The track was pretty empty, so it was easy enough. That wasn't causing anybody any difficulties going one way and then the other. The next thing was that so I found the ride really good, really consistent. I set a consistent time and then sort of kept the same for all these 4 runs in the Edge and the Edge Paris. I immediately noticed once I put on the Edge Paris to do the same runs, much more bounce. I mean, you could really feel it. Now there's more stack height, so you'd expect that. I found it much more bounce. I didn't enjoy the ride on the track. I mean, I enjoy the ride in the Edge Paris on hard surfaces, but on the track there was more bounce, which I didn't like as much. But immediately I noticed that the pace, it was easier to go at a slightly higher pace. But I tuned the paces to be at the same in both shoes. So it did the 4 runs, each direction, each shoe. Then I put one shoe on one foot and one shoe on the other foot. And I put the Edge on my left foot and the Edge Paris on my right foot. And what I noticed immediately, they felt completely different. There's different stack heights. And I suppose part of it is I do think these are totally different shoes, and they certainly felt completely differently. What I noticed was when I was running with my right foot on the inside of the bend, particularly, I could really feel much more drive out of the Paris. I could feel more bounce, and the other side was having to, keep up in a sense. Those are my impressions that I got when I was out running, just empirically, but we'll dive into some of the data and see what that says. As with all these data sets, they're limited. There's a small amount of running I do to try and just tease out some ideas as they occur to me. And yes, it's an old lab rat, and yeah, I'd much prefer if there was lots of people doing all this sort of stuff so we could get a whole bunch of data. But yeah, it's me. We'll figure out what we can see in the data. I'll put the data up beside me, but to reiterate, I was trying for the same pace, and pretty much that's what I did. And I found that the data was consistent in each shoe, even though they were in different directions. And that was one of the things I was really interested in finding out, and one of the reasons why I wanted to have the same surface and run effectively the same amount of time. I thought I might get cleaner, more comparable data. Now, in the Edge, my steps per minute, my cadence was 188 both directions, and in the Edge Paris, it was 187 steps per minute in the two directions. And that was what I was doing. I'll come to the stride length. In the Edge, it was 1.19 meters long, and in the Edge Paris, it was 1.20 meters long. So what I was doing was having a slightly longer stride in the Edge Paris, which matched pretty much how I felt. And then because I was running at the same speed pretty much in each shoe, the Edge Paris had lower steps per minute, a smaller cadence. And that was interesting. That was kind of pretty much intuitively what I felt. In the Edge, I had a ground contact time of 207 milliseconds, and in the Edge Paris, 205 milliseconds. And what I was interested then is that the vertical oscillation in the Edge was different depending on all the other numbers were the same no matter what direction I was going, but the vertical oscillation changed depending on the direction. And in the Edge, it was 6.36 centimeters and then 6.30. And in the Edge Paris, it was 6.30 and then 6.26. So certainly my vertical oscillation was affected by the direction I was going. And in the Stryd footpath analysis data, you can certainly see that my left foot is bounding higher than my right foot. I am left-footed, so that didn't come as a big surprise. And the vertical oscillation balance was 50-50 between the left and the right overall in the run. So that was kind of interesting. In the data, when I put the one shoe on, one shoe off, the one thing that did change was the vertical oscillation balance. It said it was 50-50 in each of the shoes, in the runs, in the first 4 runs, in the Edge and then the Edge Paris. But when I had one on and one off, it changed from 51 to 49, and there was the 51 was the left shoe, which was the Edge. And I was surprised about that until I think what it is that I'm having to compensate in the Edge to get at the same stride length. I'm having to have a greater vertical oscillation. That's what I think. Now, you might have a different view, what you think, and I will put the links to the Stryd data in the description of the video. So if you want to flick through them to your heart's content, away you go. The Stryd has a 3D data set in its is a data analysis tool, the Stryd Footpath. I haven't found it as useful as I'd like it to be, and part of that is it's really easy, and you'll see on the screenshots that I made, it's very easy to segment out the data on the regular Stryd interface. There's a map. Now the map is tiny, but you can still pretty much, and you can see various parameters, and you can cut the piece out to be very consistent. With the I wanted to see on the 3D data. Now I'll show as I move around, but I wanted to cut it so I could see a difference in the bend and on the straights. But the map is too small to get accurate on that. And what I did find was, again, you could see in the footpath analysis, my left foot is the dominant foot no matter which way I was going around the track. And that I did find interesting. Overall, what did I find out? Well, I found out that my intuitive data pretty much matched the Stryd data. Yes, I can't intuitively figure out the vertical oscillation, things like that, but I could definitely feel the pace in the stride length. I could definitely do that, and that was interesting. And I suppose the overall thing is the Edge and the Edge Paris are completely different shoes. I like running in both the shoes, and I like the cleanliness of the running in the early Edge. It kind of makes me think that maybe that's the way Nike will go with their new Streak Fly. a low drop shoe, but this time with a carbon plate. It'll be interesting to test the two of them against each other, probably doing a fairly similar test. But yeah, minimal kind of results, but yeah, the Edge and the Edge Paris, completely different shoes, and I still don't buy the Asics Cadence versus Stryd style runners. Both great shoes, but they're both different shoes to each other. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it useful. If you did, it would be great if you would hit the like button. As always, there'll be lots of stuff in the description below, and I'll happily answer any questions you put into the comments. There'll be a big blue subscribe button popping up there. Some related videos there. Thanks for watching. Until the next video, just keep running along.